Well, here we are at Lansing's second gun buyback to try to improve safety in our community. And Chief Teresa Szymanski is with me.
Good morning, Mayor. How are you?
Good morning. Good. Looks like we have a pretty tremendous response. Now, here it just started. You just opened the doors.
We did at 10 o'clock.
And there is a line, and it's cold out there, so that means these folks have been waiting outside to trade guns for groceries. Yep. And how does that work? How does that work exactly?
Well, fantastic, Mayor. Thanks for being here this morning. So far, we have a great crowd. If you bring in a handgun, it's $100. If you bring in a long gun, it's $50, and an assault weapon is $150.
So when you say dollars, you're giving. We say guns for groceries, so that you're giving.
Yes, Myers gift cards for groceries this morning.
And how is where did the funding come from for this? Is this police dollars?
It is not police dollars. We raised money through several donations, and we're very fortunate to have great partners in our community and a lot of support. So we're glad that everyone is here this morning and participating.
So you've got about $15,000 in gift cards.
We do, this morning.
From donated money. Those donations included a sizable gift from Sparrow Hospital and McLaren.
That is correct. $10,000 from a donation from Sparrow and McLaren, and the partnership that we have with the hospitals and their support really put us over the top.
And then the rest was individual donations.
Yes, it
totaling
was.
About $5,000.
That is correct, yes.
So folks out in the community who believed in this effort helped make it happen. In fact, it wouldn't have happened. We talked about when we wanted to make this happen. We basically put the goal out there in the community. We said we'd like to have another gun buyback, but we need money. We kind of put the call out there, and the community, in short order, really in a month or two,
came through for us.
Came through with $15,000. Now, I didn't know where that $15,000 was going to come from. Did you know when we announced?
I did not, but I do know that we have a very giving community, and we're very fortunate. As you remember, Mayor, in August when we did our first gun buyback, we raised $10,000, and we went through $10,000 worth of gift cards in about an hour and a half. And then we had the second opportunity for a gun buyback program in $15,000. When you said $15,000, I said, "Ooh, that's steep," but nothing to it, right? It was easy peasy, thanks to our great partners and certainly Sparrow and McLaren.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing that, as you say, our community has not disappointed us, and I was frankly a little worried. I was a little skittish, but I figured we needed the $15,000, and you put the goal out there, and you ask for partnership, and I did not know what the response would be. I did not know, but unless you ask, you don't know. And so we put it out there. We said, this is what we'd like to do. There is a heightened attention. I think right now people are understanding that there's a problem with gun violence in our community. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that, Chief, because people say, and people ask me, and I see online, the chat, the blogosphere, I see some people saying, well, the criminals aren't going to hand in their guns. And certainly these folks don't look like criminals.
They certainly don't.
So what do we hope to accomplish in law enforcement when we talk about a gun buyback? How do you think this might affect community safety if it's not the criminals turning into guns?
We want to eliminate the opportunity. We want to take guns out of homes that no longer are needed. Perhaps it's an elderly couple that's passed away and the children no longer know what to do with their weapon. Please bring them here. It's an opportunity gone if the gun's not in the home. A burglar, a thief cannot break in and take that gun. It's safer here than it is with someone who no longer wants or needs a gun. And we just had a tragic incident, if I may, up in Clinton County recently, where a 14-year-old shot a 13-year-old. Tragic. They were playing with a loaded gun in the home. So those types of things can be avoided. They're not necessary. So please bring your guns to the gun buyback program.
So the guns that you think you'll get here then, Chief, could very clearly prevent a tragedy. Absolutely. That it's not that a criminal is turning in a gun, but somebody who no longer has a need for a gun that might be neglected, and a neglected gun, a gun that isn't properly stored or stowed, that's a gun that could end up in the wrong hands.
No question.
Meaning a teenager, a child, like you mentioned this tragic incident in Ovid. And if you read the paper regularly, you will see incidents all over the country regularly, sometimes with toddlers finding a handgun. And so I implore folks, I know the Chief joins me, if you have a gun lying around the house, that's the wrong idea. That's the wrong place. It needs to be properly stowed. And I'm sure, Chief, if people need instruction on what to do with the gun, after this buyback, if they still have this issue, they can call you, they can call the police department and get advice, right?
Absolutely. And we also provide gun locks. So if there is folks that want to keep their guns but need a gun lock, we will give them a gun lock for free.
So it's important that people understand we're not trying to scour the neighborhoods of Lansing and take everybody's gun. But if there is a gun that is not properly stowed, that is no longer needed, where at a certain point somebody doesn't feel comfortable owning the gun, rather than keeping it around and hoping for the best, get it out of the home, right? Chief, you're saying it's safer to get rid of it if you no longer are able to or want to handle it.
I am, Mayor. And if you can't come down to our gun buyback program, just please call us at 483-4600, and we'll have an officer come to your home and pick up that gun.
Okay, great. Now, another thing I hear, Chief, is people say, well, there's so many other issues. I mean, how is a gun buyback? And I remind folks that, look, we're not pinning all our hopes on the gun buyback. We still enforce the law. We're still out in neighborhoods. We still have neighborhood watch. We still have the cameras. We have computers. I mean, there's a number of techniques that you're employing. Targeted enforcement. You have your Tri-County Metro that we still belong to, so we still have undercover operations. This is just one strategy that we employ, right? I mean, you have a comprehensive crime-fighting plan.
We absolutely do. This is just one very small tool in the toolbox. You mentioned several of the strategies. Being the strongest one is our neighborhood watch. People need to get involved in this community. Neighborhood watch, business watch, it works. And we're so blessed, Mayor, to have such great partners in law enforcement in this community, including federal partners. We have such great relationships with the ATF, DEA, and the FBI. I tell you what, we're very fortunate. I'm fortunate to travel around the state and the country and talk to other chiefs, and they're quite envious of how well we have it here in Lansing.
Well, we're lucky to have your leadership, Chief. I appreciate it, and sure do appreciate all those volunteers in Neighborhood Watch that make a big difference, because let's face it, the police department cannot be everywhere. We can't have an officer on every corner as much as we'd like, but the real strength, the real backbone is you. It's the men and women, the residents of Lansing who get involved. And, I always say there's nothing like a nosy neighbor for safety.
I've used that line a few times myself, Mayor, so thank you. But absolutely, it's our community. This is about community, and this is about partnerships. In the Lansing Police Department, the Mayor's office, we can't do it without partnerships.
And we appreciate the partnership here today. Here we are at Tabernacle of David Church. Pastor Trice and his congregation, they've opened their church for this activity, the gun buyback, which, as you say, is one strategy that we're employing to try to reduce gun violence. We haven't talked about the main reason, Chief, and, of course, we emphasize the positive, but the reality is that you and I have been called too many times to have to talk to a grieving family member because they've lost a family member from gun violence. And sometimes those victims are young people. And that, to me, is the most tragic of all, when you have innocents, young people sometimes in the wrong place at the wrong time, who have been caught in the crossfire. And I know that's probably the most difficult part of your job. It's the most difficult part of mine, to visit the hospital bed, to see a youngster clinging to life, and have to talk to their family members from gun violence. But we've been there. I know we've been there together.
We've been to many of them. And how do you explain to a mom or a dad or an aunt and uncle that they just lost their 15-year-old child? How do you explain that makes sense? There's no explanation for that.
So that's really what motivates us. That's why we're here. That's why we put that $15,000 challenge out there to the community, because we'd love to not have to attend another funeral like that. And again, this is one of the strategies. If we can get some guns off the street that might have ended up in criminal hands, that might end up being used. And we also haven't talked about, we've been talking about guns that are used in crimes, armed robbery, homicide, but there's also suicide. I think there's 1 or 2 suicides a day from handguns around the country. I'm not talking about just in Lansing.
Handguns and long guns. It's tough. The weather, the economy, all those things play a factor in people's mental state. So if we can remove weapons, we encourage people to do so.
And we've talked about the importance of stowing weapons securely and safely, Chief, especially when there's other family members. You know, people will say, well, you know, the criminals won't give up the guns. But again, the issue we're talking about, and we encourage people to talk about this and think about this in their homes, that the weapons that were used in the Sandy Hook massacre in Connecticut, those weapons were not the shooters. They belonged to his mother, right?
That is correct. And they were not stowed properly. He got access to them, and the rest
there was an individual with you know, mental issues, mental problems, and I think, I mean, this is conjecture, but I think it will come out that this was a severely disturbed young man, got access to his mother's weapons, and of course, with as you say, the very tragic results. So again, if you're not here, if you didn't participate in the gun buyback, we encourage you, if you have weapons in your home, if you think one of your family members has weapons, if you think your youngster has a weapon and shouldn't, engage the police department. You know, call the police department, get some advice about that, and get your home secured and safe. If your home is secured and safe, our community is secure and safe.
And engage your family at the dinner table. Engage in conversation about gun safety. I think it's important. The more you talk about it amongst your family and friends, the more you learn. And just be prepared. It's about being prepared and being safe.
And again, Chief, thanks for your leadership and for putting this event together.
We're very fortunate.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, I'm Linda Brundage. I'm the chair of Mid-Michigan Lansing chapter of 1 Million Moms for Gun Control. Our organization is a little over 2 weeks old. We're one of 4 chapters in Michigan. 1 Million Moms for Gun Control nationwide started December 15th, the day after Sandy Hook. Now there are over 100 chapters in the nation and 400,000 moms, grandmas, aunts, uncles working for gun control. We are a nonpartisan group. We are supporting and we want sensible gun control. We totally get the Second Amendment. We're not out to take guns away from people. However, we do support President Obama's initiative to ban assault rifles, to ban high magazine clips. We are for sensible gun registration and background checks. We're very supportive of the efforts Mayor Bonero has made, the Lansing Police Department. My understanding is last summer they got 1,000 guns off the streets. We have more money this winter, so hopefully more guns will be removed from our community. It's a wonderful effort. And we also are very pleased that Mayor Bonero is a member of Mayors Against Illegal Guns, and that he is in dialogue with that group, active in that group, and we totally support his position on the gun issue. The best place to get information about our group is to go to the national website, 1millionmomsforguncontrol.org, and there's a link there to all the chapters, and our local chapter is Mid-Michigan Lansing chapter of 1 Million Moms for Gun Control. And that will let you look at our Facebook page and see what activities we're engaged in. Our primary focus is trying to change laws through the legislature, both at the national and state level. Well, we appreciate people bringing in the guns to sell today and getting those off the street. Please have a look at the 1millionmomsforguncontrol.org website. Get up-to-the-minute news on how you can participate to make the legislative changes that are needed to make our country, our city, more safe.